Breaking news. During the upcoming NATO summit, Russia wants to bring up the nuclear plant in Ukraine. US-led transatlantic NATO Defense Alliance leaders should discuss Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant at their summit this week, Maria Zakharova, a spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, said on Sunday. On July 11–12, NATO leaders will meet in Vilnius to discuss a variety of issues, including easing tensions over Ukraine's membership bid and Sweden's accession, increasing ammunition stocks, and reviewing the alliance's first defense plans in decades. Ukrainian officials have been accused of systematic infliction of damage to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, which has prompted Zakharova to say that the NATO summit's key attention should be devoted to it. Zakharova said on the Telegram messaging app, "After all, the vast majority of the alliance members will be in the direct impact zone if something were to happen at the plant." The largest nuclear power plant in Europe is located about 1,000 kilometers (620 miles) from Vilnius. Russia and Ukraine have both claimed that the other is planning an attack on the plant, which is in the Russian-controlled Zaporizhzhia region of Ukraine, close to the front line between the two countries' territory. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, has been sounding the alarm about the serious danger at the facility for days, and he recently claimed that Russian forces had mined the roof of several reactors. The on-site experts from the International Atomic Energy Agency said that they had not seen any signs of mines or explosives, but that they needed more access to the plant to be absolutely certain. I make an effort to read all of Michael Barone's columns. I expect to disagree with him most of the time, but I respect the way he skirts around or reframes relevant information to support his argument. That's why I was taken aback to find myself agreeing with much of his theory building in last week's column, in which he argued that many of the problems we're facing right now, both domestically and internationally, stem from the failure of economic and political forecasters in the 1990s to anticipate the events of the subsequent quarter-century and a half. Nobody saw Putin or Xi becoming the totalitarian leaders they are. None of us saw 9/11 coming. Who could have predicted the economic meltdown of 2008? Exactly right, Michael. However, suddenly there was a bam, pow, awkkk moment. It seems his conservative sensibilities forced him to throw the old reliable right-wing grenade, attributing the rise in violent crime in 2014 and again in 2020 to the Black Lives Matter movement. How convenient that the NRA and their bribed legislators have managed to make us forget that there are 350 million guns in a country with 330 million people. Can you imagine how many of the thousands of cases of police brutality against minorities Michael missed? And did it escape his notice that a former president openly welcomed white supremacists marching under his banner, encouraged his followers to assault the Capitol in an attempt to illegally remain in office, and encouraged supporters to rough up dissenters at his rallies? I agreed with the rest of Barone's column that day, but I thought the typical but unnecessary cheap shot at BLM was inappropriate. West Chicago police confirmed that one person was killed in a house fire in the Cornerstone Lake subdivision on Saturday. After 5 years, when will the central tri-state area finally begin to recover? Drivers on the central tri-state tollway are never bored in the summer, what with lane changes, cement mixers, and piles of rocks to keep them occupied. Naperville has put a halt to the development of warehouses along Interstate 88. Officials in Naperville have not given up on their efforts to limit the construction of storage and distribution centers along the city's portion of Interstate 88. The Daily Herald's take an attempt to remove Arlington Heights officials over Bears talks shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the bargaining process. Tom Hayes, who has lived in Arlington Heights for the past 40 years and served as mayor for the past 10 years and a village trustee for the previous 22 years, may be in danger of losing his position as mayor. 2 suspects in the theft of thousands of dollars from a 91-year-old man have been apprehended. 2 of the 3 suspects wanted for allegedly stealing thousands of dollars by forging checks have been apprehended after police spent about 4 months looking for them. Campton Hills has suspended its chief of police. Campton Hills Police Chief Stephen Miller is on paid leave while an investigation by the Illinois State Police continues. The Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, has released an updated statewide plan for major bridge, road, and rail projects. On Friday, the state of Illinois unveiled their plan to spend nearly $41 billion in federal, state, and local funds over the next 6 years on transportation projects. After a hazing investigation, Northwestern has suspended head coach Pat Fitzgerald for 2 weeks without pay. On Friday, following an investigation into hazing allegations within the football program, Northwestern suspended head coach Pat Fitzgerald for 2 weeks without pay. The first ever public mural in East Dundee brings a picturesque scene of the Fox River to life. The mural will be the first piece of public art commissioned by the village's Arts Council, and its completion is expected to take about a week. Submission guidelines for articles. Keep comments on topic and free of profanity and sexism. Harassers and jokers about tragic events will be removed from the system. Use the flag link in the comment box's bottom right if you believe a comment violates these guidelines or our terms of service.